Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I'm your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant co-host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
And guys, we are back to finish up The Hobbit. We are both done with the book, all like 205 pages.
It
Long
actually
read.
took me a surprisingly long time to read this book.
Same. I was like flying through it, and then like I took like way too long to get back into it.
Yeah. Well, I would sit down for like 3 hours. I'm like, how have I read 20 pages? Like, what
I
is
don't
happening?
I don't know if I'm just the slowest fucking reader on the planet or what, but it would take me like an hour to read 30 pages. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what happened? Half this chapter was a song.
I know. And like, I was feeling the exact same way with this book. I'm like, it's so short. I don't know if it's because I was taking my time, if I was enjoying it more. I don't know, but it felt very long.
Yeah, it was weird. I had the same problem. I was reading last night because I wasn't done yet. And I was like, damn, why does it say it's gonna take me an hour to read 30 pages? And it did. It
Yeah,
took me an hour to read 30 pages.
that is crazy. Yeah.
But hey, we'll get into that. As always, hit us up on our Discord and you find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. Those are the things. We have merch. Check it out. We still don't have the new logo set up for merch yet. I need to talk to the artist to get it like the background see through, or else like the merch just has a big like black square, and that just doesn't look right.
Yeah. Yeah. So very slow rolling on our end.
Yes, but it'll get there eventually. I really like the new logo. I think it looks really cool. It's also really funny that we had that, and then we had a total solar eclipse.
Yeah. It's like an Eclipse logo. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Is
um.
that it? What are you drinking?
So I let my wife pick my drinks, so that's always the problem. Um, I get a drink from the local cult of Taxman Brewing.
Oh, it
I'll
is a
have
cold. It
I,
is.
I have another one tomorrow or next week, so going deep in the cult.
Man.
This one is the S'morecast. It's a dark ale with lactose, cocoa, and spices. I don't like Taxman. This one's the most okay beer I've had of them, I think.
I went to Taxman last week.
Their food's good.
Um, their food's it was okay, but like
Pretty
yeah, I
good.
agree. Like every
At brunch.
person on the south side is like, Taxman, what a phenomenal brewery. And I'm like, I have not had beer. And I'm gonna be honest, like even the food's okay. Like I'd rather have Johnson's barbecue across the street with the Yingling that they sell there than a lot of the stuff at Taxman. That's
What did
just
you
my
eat?
I had a sandwich, a burger, a Gouda burger, I want to say.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever had like their lunch menu. I've only had like brunch. Their brunch is very good.
Okay, well, uh, I'll have to be a very non-normal person and travel down there for brunch one day.
Goddamn right. What are you drinking?
Well, so funny story. Last week, I talked about how there was a big beer festival that I was going to over the weekend. I went and they only had like three breweries.
Well, that's disappointing.
They had 12 distilleries though.
Yeah,
I got fucked up.
that'll happen.
They were pouring like they were like, yeah, we have no limit to what we can give you. So you can literally try every last one of our bourbons and whiskeys and gins and vodkas.
You throw up?
No, I did not. I did not.
That's
I
a
was
lot
probably
of
the
things.
least drunk there, but when it came time to closing and we wanted to buy things, it was like a $200 budget. Spent like $400 on whiskey.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. But I didn't bring any of it with me. I also found a new meadery that's real fucking good. Up and it's up in South Bend, I want to say. But I have their mead at the house. So probably next week, maybe the week after, I'll have mead on the podcast again. But
Nice.
um I have
Man,
good
speaking of
whiskeys.
mead, last week I was in Dallas for a work thing, and one of the guys I work with lives in Ireland, and he brought me a bottle of mead from Ireland, and I'm gonna be honest, it was really disappointing.
Yeah.
It was just pure honey.
Ugh.
I didn't even finish the bottle. Like it was like it's not worth me checking my bag in to take this with me, and I'm not drinking this bottle by myself, so I just dumped it.
I as far as what I'm drinking this week, I almost forgot to say. So I've got a couple things here. I have some brandy. And I
Ooh,
don't drink a lot of brandy.
I like brandy.
It's very good. Although when I see brandy with natural flavors and
Ladies,
caramel coloring, I don't like that very much. I'm like, oh, you have to like color your brandy. I don't know, maybe that is very normal for brandy. But I have this other drink that I'm about to pour. This one's kind of funny too. So this is Katie got it because or it might have been Katie's mom, but this is called Brothers Bond. Some of you may know this whiskey, but this is the whiskey that's made from oh fuck, what? The brothers, the Salvatore brothers from that Vampire Diaries. After the
ooh,
movie, after the show or whatever, they got together and made this. So they were always like,
they're
"Oh,
like,
God,
look, we got to be in this. We got to make something better in the world.
we have to do something for the world."
We fucked up. All right, we got to make something better.
So they made their straight bourbon whiskey. So this is that. The brandy was good, but it's very artificial, I think. So I don't know how much I like it. This is a hand selected batch, and it's got their signatures on it. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of like modern day alcohol that's made from like celebrities is normally not that great, not quality alcohol.
Casamigos is good though.
That's what I also think Casamigos is kind of trash though at the same time. Like, any tequila or person that you talk to, whatever their name is, they're like, yeah, it's not that great. It's not like a quality tequila. I don't know.
I enjoyed it. I think I tried the rocks. I think it was okay. I think a lot of those things is people are like upset about human rights and like how the tequila is being made. Maybe it's not human rights. Maybe it's just environmental rights. I'm hoping it's more the
Hmm.
environmental rights.
I've got a feeling that most of these like celebrities just like wake up one weekend and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go make a tequila," and then they're
Well, it's
able
not
to.
like they're making it either, right? Like they
Yeah,
found someone to make it and they're just putting their name.
exactly. And so like it's not like that. I don't think they have a passion for it.
Yeah, they
No.
didn't sit there and fucking brew it themselves. Now that'd be way more impressive.
If you showed me a video of The Rock making tequila by hand, I'd buy that tequila.
Goddamn right I would.
It's probably fucking terrible. So I have no idea what I'm doing.
But it doesn't matter. All right,
Spring
Gavin, we left off with the the group found what's his name?
Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Bjorn. Yeah, they're heading into Bjorn's hut. And this is probably my favorite chapter in the book.
Yeah.
And mainly because Gandalf does this hilarious ass thing where he's like, you know, it'd be kind of fucked up to walk in with 14 people and ask for dinner. So like, why don't we just go like two at a time and we'll make up this system where like I'll whistle and then you come two every 5 minutes, except for you, Bomber, because you're fat as fuck. You're basically two people. So that's what
Poor Bomber just gets shit on everywhere. Like this poor man.
that's straight up what Gandalf tells us. Like you're basically big enough for two people. You fat fuck. You come in last.
You're fucking useless, Bomber.
Bomber's like, I'm so upset that I'm always last. Gandalf's like, get over it.
Lose some weight, fat ass.
Literally, we haven't been eating for weeks. How are you still fat, Bomber?
Gandalf is such an asshole in these books.
He really was.
Or that
So
book.
he goes in and introduces Bilbo and himself to Bjorn, and they're sitting down around the fire, and Gandalf's telling the story about how they escaped the mountain and the Goblin
Yeah.
King. But every like minute or so in the story, he always says like, "Yeah, the four of us escaped,"
Or
and then
there's like a few of us. It's always like a very vague. It's like a few, a dozen.
Yeah. And Bjorn's like, well, what do you mean a few? There's only two. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention these other two. And then the two walk in. And then the next time it's a group. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And it's like a party or whatever it is. He's like, what do you have a carnival going on? Like, what's happening? But he gets Bjorn's interest, and I just thought that that was very funny. Um, I don't think it would ever work. I think a regular person would be like, hey, whoa, hey, buddy.
How many fucking people are here?
But they bring everyone in, including Bomber, and that was probably the funnest part of the book was the storytelling and bringing everyone in, and then they
Yeah,
all
like
get.
but Bjorn's getting like like hyped about the store, and he's like, "There's more people. Fuck it, bring them in. Come on, come on, get on with the story, Gandalf. This shit's getting good."
Mhm.
And and then you have Bomber, who's like, "You know what? Fuck that. I wasn't waiting no goddamn 5 minutes. I am here. All right, fuck you guys."
So they sit there, they eat and drink and have like a good time. I really like Bjorn's character.
Yeah,
I don't quite understand. Like he just hates goblins. There are no orcs, there are goblins. Um, but I don't really understand like his relation with the world or what he is. That's kind of shrouded in mystery. He's
yeah.
either
I
like
mean, he's just
human.
like some nature man, right? I'm very confused because at the end of the book, he has children, and what's he fucking?
That's actually a good point.
I am very, very interested.
I did not think about that when it came up. Is he fucking a bear?
They come out of shapeshifters, so I don't know.
I mean, I mean, maybe he's just fucking a girl and their children become shapeshifters.
Comes out a bear, I don't know.
Maybe,
Maybe it's a deer. I think he can turn into like different animals. Probably he's a shapeshifter.
I think it's just a bear.
Huh? Maybe
I think there's some girl out there who's definitely a furry, and she's like,
she's got that bear fetish.
I'm
How big
into
are them
this.
paws? You
I'm
know what to
into
say about big paws.
I am into them bare balls. So yeah, he had kids. I don't know how that worked. I don't know about the anatomy of that one. As far as we can tell, there are not any female bear shapeshifters in the area. We don't know if he fucked a bear, if he fucked a girl with a fetish, but there we are.
TBD. Maybe we'll find out in the next book, but probably not.
The tale of Bjorn. I'm gonna write some fan fiction.
It's probably already out.
Listen, I'm just reading between the lines. This was what Tolkien clearly intended. So Bjorn gives them passage to get into Mirkwood. And right before they enter Mirkwood, Gandalf is like, all right, I gotta go do some shit. Now, if you watch the movies, you know what Gandalf does. If you read the book,
You have no idea.
he talks about it at the very end, and it's like way less detail. Like the movies
Did
took
they
some.
even like really talk about the necromancer at all in the book?
They discussed that the necromancer was a person that was lived like he was already established, like he was a person that lived in this like South Mirkwood.
Yeah.
So like in the movies, it was like, oh, they're the necromancer's reawakening. Like, who is this mysterious neck? In the book, they're like, yeah, we fucking know. He's held up in this castle. He's got three cousins. Like they had his number. But in the movies, it was a completely mysterious thing. They get Radagast, who is mentioned very like one sentence.
Yeah.
Radagast is mentioned. They get Saruman, who's not mentioned in the book, other than at the very end, Gandalf tells Elrond, yeah, I met with the White Wizard Council, which seems strange because there's only one White Wizard.
Yeah. That we know of. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe the movie's like just throw that out the window. It's like only Gandalf's the white.
well, Saruman is the White Wizard
Yeah.
until all the shit goes down. But in the Silmarillion, we know there are five wizards total, and they're basically angels. and they were selected by various different deities. You never see two of them in any of the books. They're mentioned incredibly briefly in the Silmarillion. And then they're the blue wizards. You have Saruman, Radagast, and Gandalf. So I don't know where the White Wizard court came from, but Galadriel was not a part of this book at all, never mentioned. She is definitely in the movies. So that whole story with Necromancer in the movies that does not take place in this book. It's mentioned very briefly and under completely different context.
Yeah. So yeah, they Gandalf fucks off, and the party's like, well, shit, we're stuck with the fucking Hobbit. Well, I guess we're going in the woods.
I don't know about you, but the Mirkwood part was the most gruesome part of reading this book.
Yeah, I agree.
It
It
took a long time
it did.
and it was nonsensical. Nothing really happened. And they were in it for like 3 months. They were in the woods.
Yeah, it really sucked for them. I really didn't like this whole like they stray off the path because they're starving. We have Bomber who fell in the water and he's asleep this whole time.
Hmm.
And like they're like, oh, there's elves. Let's go talk to the elves. And like every time they show up, the elves just disappear. And that happens like 50 fucking times. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
okay. And then like they get to the spiders. And I had to just it had been so long since I've seen the movie and stuff. I was like, oh, like maybe like the spiders were like doing some magic shit, like luring them in. But no, they were actual just fucking elves chilling out in the middle of the fucking woods.
And just
Just partying.
disappearing. Yeah, just partying and disappearing when the dwarfs show up.
Oh
Well,
shit, fuck those guys.
what the fuck? I'm out of here. Jesus, who are these?
Oh, there's a hobbit. What the fuck is that? Never seen that before.
They're all just sitting there playing music. Some short guy comes out of the woods. Oh, fucking God.
Disappear, disappear quick.
God.
I don't understand why they kept doing that.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me either. And like the the whole spider thing, this is what the one of the things that the books does way more. It harps on it way more than in the movies. The movies seem like it's an adventure that's taking place like going, 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 going. The books is like I was there for a week, starving
It
in the
fucking
woods.
sucked.
Yeah, like their
Like
adventure was rough.
Bilbo, like in the movie, like it's like Bilbo was narrating, he's writing a book to Frodo. In this, it's literally just like Frodo, or not Frodo, but Bilbo's like, man, this shit fucking sucks. And then
Yeah,
you have everyone else like, this fucking sucks.
it's
All this
terrible. They're like,
sucks.
we can't see anything. It's pitch black. We have to huddle together at night to know that we're all there. And this happened for weeks. There's multiple times in this book where like Bilbo or the dwarfs or all of them are just like, we can't go anywhere. So we're gonna stay here and starve for 3 to 4 days.
Bilbo's like, where's my third breakfast?
Starvation is a major theme in this book, in my opinion.
It is, and like none of them lose weight,
None of them. Not even Bomber.
especially Bomber.
He gets fatter somehow. I don't know.
Also, in the book, like it implies that Bilbo is like a pretty chunky dude.
Yeah.
He is not in the movie at all.
Yeah. They're all chunky in the
Maybe Tolkien just really likes fat characters.
I don't know. But you have the spiders attack them. I didn't know this, but like the spiders bite and put venom in all of the dwarfs. And they're
Yeah,
like basically waiting for the dwarfs to cook, which was fucking crazy.
yeah,
Um, and they escape. Bilbo wears the ring like a lot.
a whole lot.
Like
Which
he's
like confused. Like I'm very curious on like how different the ring's gonna be in the next three books, because we know like in the movies at least, like whenever Frodo puts on the ring, is all like the Sauron shit happens.
shit goes down. Yeah.
And I don't remember. I don't think anything happens in the Hobbit movies when he wears it, but like Bilbo wore it for like 6 months
Yeah,
in the
pretty much.
fucking elf castle.
For a few weeks, yeah, like straight. He was just invisible. I didn't even know you could do that. But I guess you can.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it makes me like even more confused on like what happened with Smeagol because like like isn't like the thing is the ring made him crazy.
yeah.
Bilbo's just wearing this shit and doesn't give a fuck.
Well, I think the point, and this is from context clues of the Lord of the Rings movie. This is the only place I'm getting it from. And the idea is like hobbits are resilient to the ring as a race because they're not very corruptible.
Because they're dumb.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're
But they
rats. I'm pretty sure is what they got compared to at one point.
rats, yeah, that does happen. Um, they get out of the spiders, and Thorin got imprisoned by the elves. And this is the most mind-boggling part of the book to me, is I don't understand like what the fucking elves deal is.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
get
just
it.
like, hey man, why are you crashing our fucking party? He's like, bro, I'm fucking hungry.
Literally how it goes. That's straight up it. And like
He's
there's
getting
the
like food in prison. He's like, oh, thank God. I'm so hungry. What do you mean? What was I doing? Look at me.
you literally have the Elf King's like, why did you try and fuck our people up? He's like, fuck them up, dude. I'm just really hungry. I was hoping you had food. He goes, you lie. No, I promise you, I'm fucking starving. Like, please give me some food. I don't believe you. Throw him in the dungeon and give him some food. Oh, thank fucking God. He's clearly a mastermind when it comes to trickery.
Also, like, I didn't realize that elves were just like obsessed with gold.
Everyone in this book is obsessed with gold.
It's weird.
So in the movies, and this is one of the things I like more about the movies than I like about the books, is the Lonely Mountain adventure was rooted very deeply in them trying to get their home back.
Yeah.
They don't have a place to be. In the book, they were like, fuck that. I don't give a shit. I just want some gold. That's all it was. And it wasn't until the very end that they were like, oh, we have our home back. Because I don't think that they really envisioned themselves defeating Smog. So they went out I mean, they literally planned to have a return journey. That's why they buried the troll treasure.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any intention of them to actually take back their home. Because there was no plan to defeat Smog. I mean, that gets talked about later.
Yeah.
And you get to the point of the elves, and they're like, we also want gold. Where in the movie, it was about a specific set of gems. Now, these gems did get brought up, but it was like it specifically stated that the gems were given to the dwarves to be shaped, and then the elves didn't pay for them, so the dwarves kept them. And it said Thorin's family had nothing to do with it. And the Elf King was like, fuck you in particular.
Yeah. Also, like in the movies, the like main gem was like a way bigger deal.
The Arkenstone, yeah,
Yeah, the Arkenstone. Where like it wasn't even mentioned until Bilbo just like
sees
found
it.
it, and then Thorne's like, man, the Arkenstone's fucking sick.
It's not talked about at all. Like it's not talked about. Like in the movies, it's this concept like if you have the Arkenstone, then you kind of claim the right to be the king.
Yeah.
And like in the books, exactly what you're saying. They were sitting there talking, and then I think it was one of the um Balin. Balin was like, "Oh, you remember the Arkenstone?" Thorne was like, "The fucking Arkenstone!
That shit is so cool.
I gotta fucking find it, man. That's been
And
no,
Bilbo's
I'm
like, oh
no."
shit. Guess what's in my pocket? Can you solve the riddle?
Like we can split 1/14 of the treasure. And at the end, Thorin was like, "Well, I didn't mean the Arkenstone." That's what I wanted, man. It was like playing with like a school kid on the
Yeah.
playground.
But
Um,
anyway, we
like
have Thorne gets thrown into jail. They get Bilbo saves the other dwarves from the spiders, and Bilbo's kind of a badass against it. He's just fucking going up and just stabbing him, and as he's invisible.
beating the shit out of him. The Hobbit can fight in this book, like more so than the dwarfs.
Yeah. I think he actually slays more things than I saw any dwarf slay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of strange too. I like this idea that like in the movies, Bilbo's like this dude that wants to stay home, and as the course goes on, he becomes more of a badass. Here's just like the dwarves suck, and the Hobbit
It's
can
like, man, I'm
Bilbo can
just
just kill
trying to
them.
fucking live.
Yeah.
If I don't kill these guys, I can't go home.
So they all get kidnapped by the elves after they kill the spiders. Bilbo puts on the ring and lives at the elf's house for like 3 weeks invisible.
He he like sleeping in corners and shit because he
Mhm.
doesn't like want his shadow showing because apparently like his shadow still shows.
Yeah, the rules with the ring are very strange because his sword shows when he pulls it out,
Yeah.
but and his shadow shows, but he's invisible. I think that's very interesting. I
Where in
don't
the
know.
movie, I don't think anything shows.
Yeah, it's just gone. I don't
Also,
know.
like Smeagol in the movies, not as good. He's a lot creepier in the book. Like him, like having to row his boat to his place and he's just searching for the ring. Like that
Yeah.
was eerie. And like you have Bilbo on like the other side of like an island thing. He's like, the fuck is happening over there?
Yeah, I think
Basically,
he gets creepier in The Lord of the Rings,
yeah, I agree.
but yeah, I agree with the Hobbit version in the book. It's a phenomenal chapter, Riddles in the Dark.
Yeah.
But Bobo's eating food. He finds the wine cask thing and he sneaks them all out in barrels. He unlocks the gate or unlocks all their gates, sneaks them all out in barrels. Another big change, Legolas does not exist yet in this universe. There is no romance between Keely and a female elf.
This is
That does
bullshit.
not happen. So they make their way down the river in barrels. And I specifically remember I had to text a friend. I'd never read The Hobbit, and he was a big Hobbit fan. And he said, well, when I watched The Hobbit, I had to turn it off after the barrel scene. I want to be like, dude, that actually happened though in the book. They, they didn't have a battle out of barrels. That was kind of silly,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah, but
went down the river in barrels.
yeah, that did happen. Can't confirm.
In the movie, at the end of the river, they meet uh what's his Bard.
Yeah, Bard.
In the books, no, Bard doesn't come into play till much later. He gets no character introduction, no background. He just is there at one point.
Yeah.
Um, so they make it to Lake Town, and the Lord of Lake Town is like, fuck it, yeah, everyone's happy. Like you go to the mountain, bring back some money, like everything's cool.
Pretty much.
There's really not much that happens in that chapter other than a lot of singing.
Seeing any need, which then not. I mean, I guess they were eating a little bit in prison, which is more than they had for the last like half year.
Yeah, they get to eat. Bomber really enjoyed that one. And then at one point, I think one of the funnier parts was like Thorne's like, all right, we're gonna go to the mountain. And the master of Lake Town was like, oh fuck, like you were really like really? Like I thought you were just fucking around. Like I mean, like go ahead, because you guys are expensive, but like I kind of thought you guys were just like really good con men, like just dwarfs. And then everyone else around you was just racist. And like, well, it must be Thorin, he's a dwarf.
I mean, it made sense, but yeah, they get a bunch of food and some ponies, and they go up to look for the secret passage, and it's been a long time searching for the secret passage.
Yeah, not a lot really happens. Um, they find the secret passage. They have Bilbo go in. Still no Gandalf.
Nope.
Have Bilbo go in, and Bilbo goes in and grabs a gauntlet. Not a gauntlet. Is it a gauntlet?
It's
What's
a
it called?
cup,
A cup? Are they gauntlets?
probably. I'm sure it's a
Goblets. Goblets.
yeah
Gauntlets are
goblet.
hands. Goblets are cups. So he grabbed a goblet, brought it back, and everyone was like, oh, fuck. You got a fucking goblet, dude. That's awesome. And they were like, do you remember the Arkenstone? Holy shit. Smog wakes up, gets real pissed off.
Yeah, because he apparently knows the exact weight of his bed.
Yeah.
I'm really confused on why dragons just collect gold. What the fuck are what are the dragons doing with the gold? They're not spending
I
it.
think that there's an explanation for it at some point. The dragons were created by Morgath. It's like the Sauron's daddy.
His stepdad used to
Yeah.
beat him. Alcoholic.
And there was definitely like they're just pure evil creatures because of that. Um, I don't know exactly why they have like gold
Just a fetish.
desires, but it's like a sickness. Like the dwarfs oftentimes succumb to dragon sickness, is what they call it, where they like get obsessed with gold. And the master in the books eventually gets obsessed with dragon sickness and gets obsessed with gold. So I don't know why they do it either. I don't think gold is particularly comfortable to sleep on, but
I can't imagine it is.
there's definitely like a huge push thematic wise in this book to be anti-greed.
Yeah.
It's anti-industry, anti-businessman, anti like I'd almost say banks. Um like very anti-greed book. You see like Thorn gets obsessed with gold and that turns out to be a huge downfall. And like all the good people are the ones that like give their gold freely and help people. It's like a big theme of the book.
Yeah.
Dragon comes out, they all hide in a tunnel, in the tunnel for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
They, again, they just hide in a dark tunnel for 3 or 4 days.
That's the way, man.
The dragon says, fuck it. I'm pretty sure those dudes at the lake helped you, so I'm gonna go burn their village down. And he does, and then gets killed by a bow and arrow.
Yep. Because Bilbo saw like one spot on his chest and a bird communicated that.
They talked, yeah. Bilbo was like outside with the dwarfs when he brought back the goblet and was like, oh, he's got this like spot under his wing. And then a bird heard it, flew to the town. The dragon came to the town. The bird landed on Bard's shoulders, like, bro, do you see that spot? And
Shoot
Bard
that.
killed him with an arrow.
One arrow.
That's it.
I I mean, I don't know like how thick not only the dragon's skin is, but like how far like the heart actually is.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would take more than one arrow, probably, right?
I would think so, or at least a really big one. I will say that the way that the movie did all of this, the way the movie did Bilbo going into the mountain and it did Bard shooting the black arrow from the bell tower, like way better in my opinion. It's really at this point where the book starts to feel incredibly rushed. And I'm just trying to put my mind in the mindset of Tolkien. And I just feel like Tolkien, I don't know what his plans were for this universe. It almost seems like he jotted some stuff down. He had a really good story. And then he was like, I want to finish this. And at this point, when Bilbo makes it to the mountain, when they get in the doors, it's like he didn't have everything planned out. And so things became very quick. Like I feel like he wrote Bard as a character because he needed a way to kill the dragon. Like he couldn't think of a way for the dwarfs to do it. So Bard becomes a character. But if he knew that Bard was going to kill the dragon before, I would think that he would have introduced Bard before when they first went to Lake Town, just like they do in the movies.
Yeah.
So it seems rushed, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm talking bad about Tolkien. Maybe I'm a terrible guy.
Yeah, I mean, what I feel like it should be is, I mean, this whole time it's built up on, smog is the reason we lost our home. Smog has taken over this mountain, like he's the ruler of everything. Like Smog has been like built to be this ultimate bad guy. He gets taken down with a single arrow, and then there's like a
By
whole
a
fucking
dude,
war.
by a dude you get introduced to 4 paragraphs earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like a very quick, like big bad dead. Let's throw in another random conflict in conflict send Bilbo home.
Yeah. Yep. And after the dragon dies, the dwarves have no idea. Again, birds have to communicate things to them. And the humans and the elves help the humans. They come up the path and they're like, hey, like our home is destroyed. Where's my money? Which makes sense given the fact that they killed the fucking dragon.
That they killed the dragon that the dwarves pissed off and made him leave the mountain to go fuck shit up.
And it was, I didn't know this, but like the city of Dale, which is a human city, like Smog also stole gold from Dale. So I'm like, kind of seems like they also have some right to that gold
Yep.
since they killed the dragon. Like you're basically just saying finders keepers at that point, and that's
Hey
what
man,
Thorn.
look, we all signed contracts, okay? We each get a 14th, and you were not a part of the agreement.
So Bilbo steals the Arkenstone, which is the most valuable
Oh,
piece.
he's had it this whole time.
Yes,
He found
and
it.
he gives it to Bard and says, "Hey, trade this." None of that ended up actually mattering, though. That was a very frustrating part of the book to me, is like the stealing of the Arkenstone didn't actually convince anyone of anything
Yeah.
because the only thing that actually changed the mentality of the groups to fight together was the coming of the orcs. Had nothing to do with the Arkenstone or the deal. So that was kind of a wash.
Yeah.
From what my point of view, like it didn't affect anything.
Yeah. The only thing I did was Gandalf showing up again, like, yo, Bilbo, my man. What a good move. You're so fucking smart, Bilbo, like a pet.
Fucking solid. And then the dwarfs show up and they're like, "Oh, if Gandalf was here, he'd be pissed." And Gandalf's like, "Yeah, I would be at fucking you. You're being a real shitty king right now." And then Thorin's like, "Oh, fuck Gandalf, you don't know what you're talking about."
That is actually what happened, yeah.
Dane shows up, who's Thorin's cousin. They had sent some messages via Crow, to pick up Dane, and he brought 500 dwarfs.
No, man, that's by Raven.
Yeah, by Raven.
They don't fuck.
Crows were the humans.
Yeah.
And each of them have their own king.
Yep.
This continues to happen. Any animals in this book, there is a group of people that can talk to them, and they all have their own system of governance.
And there's Bjorn. Who's in the Bears? I'm lonely.
It's just him, just Bjorn. So the orcs show up, or the goblins show up. There are no orcs, and they're riding wargs, and it is not. I did not know this, but it is not the pale orc that shows up as the leader. It is his son, Blog. Glog is his name.
Yeah.
Blorg? Blorg?
Maybe.
Yeah. In the movies, you will remember this as the orc that kills
Thorin's dad.
Thor. Well, no, that's the father of this guy.
Oh.
In the movies, this is like the lieutenant,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's the one that kills Feely and Killy.
Yeah.
He's the main bad orc. It's the pale orc's son, which they're all goblins, but
Yep.
um they go and do battle, and it just wanes back and forth. It's not incredibly descriptive. You don't get the huge battle scenes, the worms, the stages that you do from the movies. And I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm very glad Tolkien wrote it this way because you cannot deliver the masterpiece of those battles in the way that movies do. Like I think you recognize that. I mean, obviously movies weren't a big thing in the 30s, but I think he knew like I can't write like here's a dude that was in World War One. It's like I can't write what a battle's like because most people don't even in battle don't even know what the battle's like. Like it's so fucking chaotic. So it was 3.5 pages was the Battle of the Five Armies, which was like half of the third movie.
Yep.
Um, it just was a battle that waged back and forth. At one point, the good guys were winning, then the orcs showed up on the mountains, or the goblins did. Then the bad guys were winning, and then Thorin shows up, and the bad guys were losing, and then something happens to where the good guys were losing, and then the Eagles show up, and things were getting close, and then Bjorn shows up, and the day is won by Bjorn, basically.
Bilbo gets
Bjorn
knocked
is the
out.
one that kills the lead goblin,
Yep.
not Thorin. Thorin just dies.
Yep.
Bilbo gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, he's basically told the news that Thorin, Fili, and Kili are dead. He gets to say goodbye to Thorin, and it's a really awkward goodbye, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree.
It's like, hey man, I just wanted to say I'm gonna die, and we're still friends, so goodbye. And Bilbo says goodbye and walks away. Like that is straight up what happens.
Yep. And then he cries about it.
Very weird.
Yeah, it was strange. And then Dane becomes the
King.
king under the mountain.
Which again was very strange given the fact that this is a character we literally just got introduced to this chapter.
Yeah.
So just a lot of just like side characters that had no consequence to the rest of the story are having major impacts at the end of the story. I think it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Like
Also,
Bard.
short ass book though. We
Yeah,
just
it's
are
true.
slow readers, so I don't know.
You would just think that one of the dwarfs in the party that Bilbo became close to would be the next in line. But I guess it's not the style. It's not the way it works.
Yeah. Family, man. It's always in the family. It's where the blood
Yeah.
is. Gotta keep it pure. Fuck your cousins and your sisters.
I don't know. I don't think that that's a practice they implement in the dwarven kingdoms. But basically, all the kingdoms are live happily ever after. The humans get rich again. The dwarfs get rich again. Their mountain opens up. People move back into the mountain. I didn't realize this, but most of the goblins in the north died that day, like almost all of them.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, like passage started to become easier. It's like the evil was beaten back, like the weeds were cut. So Bilbo travels back and he stays an entire winter with Bjorn and Gandalf in Bjorn's hut.
But that was a good time.
Yeah.
Sure
So
they had a
something
bunch of fruit and nuts.
something that like the movies, both movies, from what I heard, don't do very well, is like there is always a journey home. And I loved the journey home chapter because it gave a finality to the book.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where like Bilbo makes it to Rivendell, and when he first arrived in Rivendell on the journey there, he was like, I love this place. This is amazing. And even though he loved it on the way back, he was like, I'm tired.
Which is fair. He's
Yeah.
been through some shit.
You kind of get this sense of like in a lot of um fantasy novels, fantasy stories. When the show's over, you feel sad. It's like I
Yeah.
want this to go on. But in this book, I feel very close, like I feel completed
Yeah.
because Bilbo's like, I'm tired. Like I want to go home. Like I want to not
There is
experience
my
this.
stupid fucking hole. Close you motherfuckers out.
Yeah. And it ends really well. He makes it back home and the book ends with Gandalf and Balin visit. I keep calling him Balin. I think it's Balin.
Balin, yeah.
Ball
Ballin!
Balin comes and visits him. Gandalf and Balin. And it's just a great ending because it's like his friends from his journey came to visit him. Like it's not like he'll ever lose that.
Yeah, and he's like kind of like the outcast hobbit because he went on this adventure, and hobbits aren't supposed to go on adventures. And I like that he like when he gets home, like they're literally like auctioning off his stuff because they're like, wait, you're still fucking alive? He's like, where are my fucking spoons? Okay.
Yes. He never found his spoons. And there's just a lot of really fun things at the end too, with like how it took people a year legally for him to convince everyone that he was actually alive because they wanted his shit.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a great story. Like very rushed at the end, in my opinion.
I agree.
Very childish story. Like that wasn't very deep. Like I kind of hate that I only know him as the Elf King. Who is that dude?
Yeah.
Why does what's his face? Why does what's his face get a name and not the Elf King? The other elf. What's his name?
What did he did he get
Elrond.
like Elvol or something?
No. It's the Elf King. Elrond is in Rivendell. They go and see the Elf King in Mirkwood.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bard is literally like a guy that like sings and shit too, which is
Bard.
just like straight up D&D.
Yeah, there was a lot of it was an incredibly enjoying book. It's 100%. If you've never read this book, it's worth a read. It's 200 some pages. You can read it in a week. It's
Unless you're
really
us, then it
cool.
takes like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it takes a while. It's just really cool to kind of have like this sense of like this is where it started, and you can see too like this is where D&D started. It's 100% a D&D adventure.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's at the godfather of fantasy.
Hmm.
And I mean you can feel that like I know like before like you start talking like you said like you didn't feel like there was like a bunch of world building, but I feel like there was a good amount, right? Like you have like the establishment of the bird kingdoms. You
The
have the
Bird
elf
Kingdoms.
kingdoms.
The
You have the
Bird Kingdoms.
dwarves, the hobbits, the humans, like there's like a little bit of like everything. It's kind of like there's like a hierarchy of like all of these.
Birds.
Yeah, you got like the crows, your ravens, your dragons.
Your eagles are up there.
Yeah, the chickens. You can never forget the cocks.
Yeah, they're somewhere. The Cock Kingdom.
I don't know. It's cool. Comparing it to the movie, it definitely feels a lot different. Like even like the intro of like the dwarves going to Bilbo's house for the first time, like in the book, he's like, "Oh shit! Like I gotta like serve these people. Like what? How? Like what do I do? Like oh, I gotta get the cheese. I gotta get more bread. I need to, yada yada yada." Where in like the movie, he's like, "Get the fuck out of my house! Who are you people? Quit touching. Why do you have two things of cheese?"
Yeah. I think it's hard to compare them. This is a very incredibly rare case of a movie adaptation that actually adds to the story instead of takes away.
Yeah,
Um, and I will say that most of the things that they added, I loved. I loved how dark it got. I love that we got to see Gandalf's adventure. We got to see Radagast. We got to see Galadriel and all these other characters that they took a lot of liberty of the main story to do. I loved that we had the drama between the dwarves and the elves. It made sense. I loved seeing Thorin's descent into madness, hearing more about Bard's backstory, like, and of course the battle, like the five army battle was just phenomenally done.
yeah. It's
There
like the
are some,
small things that like I didn't like. Like I feel like the entire like Smeagol storyline wasn't as good in the movie. And like
mhm,
even like when it's like in the movie you still see like our goddamn Bilbo like sees like Gandalf and stuff like running, like leaving the tunnel or whatever. Like they were long gone when Smeagol and Bilbo were having their thing.
yeah.
And like I think like the adventure of him like going through the riddle game was a lot creepier. The whole experience was very different. Him just trying to survive and like jump over Smeagol, who like knows he's there because he can like smell him.
And through the goblins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
I
can't take out his sword because it fucking glows. He's like, fuck.
yeah. I think the movie tried to appeal to like a more adult audience. That's why you don't see dwarfs with colorful beards. You don't see that much singing in the movies as you do in the books. You see a lot more dark storylines with the necromancer. They wanted to tie in the necromancer into Sauron, which made sense. They took a lot of liberties, but it made sense.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed with what they were able to accomplish in the movies. Was everything added great? No. They didn't need to add Legolas. They didn't need to add the romance between Keely and the elf. I thought that was like very out of place for what Tolkien had written.
Yeah.
There really didn't need to be barrel riding fights, but for the most part, there are like the scenes with Smog in the movies. If when because I know you just watched the first one, but when you make it to the last movie, it's phenomenal. The second movie, even the scenes with Smog are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we were
so
liking the movies. It's just been
yeah,
so long since I watched them.
I would say they're both good. I mean, obviously the original is the Hobbit novel, but I think the Hobbit trilogy is phenomenally done. It's definitely worth a watch. So I'm just impressed with their adaptation.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, we have three more books to go through now. We have the actual Lord of the Rings. We have the Fellowship, the Towers, and Return of the King. I've
Return
heard
of
the
the
Twin
King.
Towers is really good.
Really, I've heard Return of, well, yeah, I heard that one in particular was great. I've heard the Fellowship has some dry moments.
I can see that. So how do we want to go from here? Do we because we can't really like season one with all the Warhammer books we did previews. I don't know if it's worth previewing a Lord of the Rings book just because
Yeah,
first off we only have three.
yeah. I don't think we need to do 6 episodes. I mean, I think we just play it by ear. I mean, it depends on how far we get into it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
do we do like three parters? Do we just like take a break and then do a half and a half?
yeah, I think we just, maybe we do a little preview next time, and then maybe we review depending on how far we get. Because I like most of the time when you buy the book, it's one book. It's the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And you have the sections split up, but he released them like he intended to release them at the time as one book, but they didn't like as large print books back then. It probably might have had to do with how well they were printed as well. So he had to split them up, but they flow right into each other. So um, yeah, I think we'll just play it by ear, figure out what happens.
All right, sounds good.
If
Well,
if
guys,
not, we'll do a special episode. That works too.
yeah. What do you rate The Hobbit?
This is a hard one to rate.
Yeah. I mean I really like it. I would probably do like an eight
I've
and a
got a
half,
number. I have I say 7.
a seven,
You said 8?
eight and a half.
I mean, I'll come up to 8. I don't want to be that cynical. 8, 8.5. There we go.
I mean I enjoyed the story the whole way through. Yes, I think the ending was super rushed, but I was never like, damn, I have to fucking read more. I was like, all right, darn, I gotta read more, I guess.
I was hooked. Like, I wanted to go back. I wanted to see it. I think it was way more enjoyable since I have seen the movies and I wanted to see how they compare. And I was kind of
Yeah, now that
mind
I
blown.
finished it, I want to finish the last two movies again
Yeah,
so I can compare.
for sure.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for us. Next week, most likely, we will be back with the Fellowship of the Ring. As always, hit us up on our Discord, pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Speaking of the Discord, there are all kinds of things that happen on there. If you're into Warhammer, there is some hobby time that happens. If you're not into Warhammer, just you can join hobby time anyway. Who cares?
Do some hobby
Share what
stuff.
you enjoy. There is a weekly movie night on Saturdays. Also, we're there most of the time. Chat with us, chat with the community. Everyone's great. It's a good time. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. It's pretty much just our episodes with our faces. You're fucking welcome. We're blessing the internet with beauty. All right, guys, have a good one.